Welcome to Storytime with Elo.
The Man from the River, Part 2. The morning sun blazed across the compound, burning away the mist. Aisha's father, his jaw set like iron, stood in the courtyard. By his side was a man Aisha had never seen before, a broad bellied widower from the neighboring village, his beard streaked with grey, his eyes thick and scarred from years of farming. This is Malu, her father declared, a man of standing. He will take you as his wife. The courtyard stilled. Women carrying calabashes paused at the gates. Children craned their neck to see. Aisha's mother wrung her hands, eyes darting between husband and daughter. Aisha's heart pounded, but she kept her chin high. For weeks she had hidden the truth, nursed her secret at the river, swallowed it down when her mother nagged, when the neighbors whispered, but not today. I cannot marry him, she said clearly, her voice carrying farther than she expected. Her father's nostrils flared. You have refused every man I've brought before you. This ends today. Aisha's pulse thundered, but she felt Kojo's presence like a steady drum inside her chest. She squared her shoulders, her voice ringing out. Because I am already promised to another. A ripple of shock passed through the gathered crowd. Murmurs, gasps, a child's laugh quickly hushed. Her father's brows furrowed. What foolishness is this? A prince, Aisha said, eyes shining with defiance. From a kingdom beyond the river. His name is Kojo, the firstborn of his house. He has chosen me to be his wife. The silence that followed was thunderous. Then the laughter began, bitter, sharp, disbelieving. She has gone mad, one old woman cackled. A prince, another scoffed. If he is real, why does he not stand here? She dreams too much, a man muttered. Her beauty has soured into pride. Aisha's mother pressed trembling fingers to her lips, torn between horror and pity. Her father's face darkened with rage. Enough, he thundered. You shame this family with your fantasies. No prince will come for you. You will marry Malu. But Aisha did not lower her gaze. I will not, she said simply, her voice steady as stone. The villagers stared at her as though she had declared herself the moon. To them, she was cursed now, mad, ruined. But Aisha felt a strange calm settle over her because Kojo was real, because every night he whispered her name, and because even if the world thought her insane, she knew he would come. By dawn, the village was buzzing. Malu, the widower, had stormed off, muttering that he would not marry a woman who claimed princes no one else could see. Her father, humiliated, declared her a disgrace. She will undo us all, he spat. If she speaks of this Kojo again, she will bring a curse to this house. Her mother wept, begging Aisha to swallow her words. Say it was foolishness, child. Say you lied. Then we will find you another match, and all will be well again. But Aisha only lifted her chin, fire sparking in her eyes. I will not. Kojo is mine. I am his. That was the last straw. Her father seized her by the arm, dragging her through the village square as neighbors whispered and laughed. He threw her into a lonesome hut at the far edge of the village, bolted the door from outside. If madness is your choice, he growled, then madness will be your companion. And so it was. Each day, her mother came quietly with a bowl of millet or stew, setting it just inside the door. Aisha ate in silence, speaking to no one. Her only visitors came by night. Because Kojo came. No longer shadow, no longer whisper. He came in flesh, in heat, in hunger. The hut shook with their laughter, their kisses, their cries. His body pressed into hers, his mouth traced fire across her skin, and the world narrowed to the two of them, night after night. And the village heard. Neighbors whispered that the mad woman was raving, that she howled like a wildcat in her prison. Her father stormed across the compound one night, flung open the hut door, and found nothing but Aisha, serene and smiling in the dark. His rage was matched only by his fear. "You are cursed," he hissed, slamming the door shut. "You will never be a wife, never be mother, never be anything but shame." But Aisha only touched her lips where Kojo's kiss still lingered and smiled. Then one night, Kojo brought her a gift. From his hand slipped a ring, not of iron or copper or bronze, but of metal that gleamed like captured starlight. Its center held a jewel, deep green, cut so fine it glowed from within. He slid it onto her finger. "Now you are mine in truth. When I come, there will be no denying it." The next morning, Aisha's mother gasped at the sight of it. She clutched her daughter's hand, trembling. Where, where did you get this?" "Kojo," Aisha simply said. Her mother showed it to her husband, and for the first time the fire in his eyes faltered. He had never seen such wealth. None of them had. The village buzzed with rumors. Maybe she had spoken truth. Maybe a prince had chosen her. But if so, why did no one else see him? Why did he only come to her? By now, the whole village was divided. Some called Aisha cursed, bewitched, bound to spirits that would drag her to ruin. Others, staring at the jewel on her finger, whispered of kings, of riches, of power beyond their imagining. Her father grew restless. "If this Kojo is real, let him stand before me. Let him face the sun like a man." But Kojo did not appear on command. He came only at night, only for Aisha. And the more she loved him, the brighter she glowed, her skin lit from within, her laughter carrying like a bell. Even those who mocked her began to waver. Then came the night of the storm. The sky split open with thunder, and rain lashed the huts until the roofs bowed. The villagers huddled in fear, but from Aisha's hut came singing, low, strong, wild. Her voice rose above the storm, matched by another deeper voice no one could place. The villagers crept through the mud, pressing close, straining to hear. The singing turned to laughter, then to cries, the kind of cries that left men shifting uncomfortably, women covering their mouths, children wide-eyed with curiosity. And then silence. When her father, furious, threw open the door, he found her alone again, alone but smiling, her hair undone, her lips bruised with kisses. On the floor beside her lay a cloak, heavy, shimmering, woven with threads finer than any cloth the village had ever seen. Aisha lifted it with pride. "From Kojo," she said simply. Her mother touched it with trembling hands. "This is no weaving of ours," she whispered. The crowd gasped, stepped back, crossed themselves against evil or blessing. No one could tell which. That night, word spread like fire. Maybe the girl was not mad. Maybe she had indeed been chosen. And the elders muttered uneasily, because if a prince had come for her, whether of flesh or of spirits, no man of theirs could rival him. The village had just begun to stir when the drums began. Not the thin rattle of calabash, not the hollow thump of festive skins. These were deeper, rolling, earth shattering drums that made the huts quiver and the ground hum. Children darted into the square, shouting. Women froze mid task, pestles suspended above mortars. Men dropped their tools, eyes fixed on the path leading from the river. And then they came. First the warriors, tall, gleaming, with spears tipped in gold and shields painted in colors that dazzled against the morning sun. Behind them came servants, leading animals, goats draped in silk, cattle with horns polished and adorned with garlands, even camels weighted with baskets that overflowed with dried fish, fragrant spices, sugarcane, cola nuts. Then came the bearers, 12 men straining beneath a palanquin carved from ebony, inlaid with ivory, its canopy shimmering with woven gold. Upon it sat Kojo, but not the Kojo Aisha had known in secret. This was Kojo the prince. His robes gleamed with thread that shimmered like fire. Heavy jewels glistened on his chest and arms, each piece brighter than anything the village had ever seen. A crown of beaten bronze and emerald rested on his brow, and when he raised a hand, the entire procession seemed to pause, as though the earth itself obeyed him. Gasps rose from the crowd. Women dropped to their knees. Men bowed their heads, though her father stood rigid, trembling with pride and fury both. Kojo's gaze swept the crowd until it found her, Aisha, standing outside the lonely hut they had cast her into, the morning light catching the ring on her finger. He smiled, and the drums thundered again. Aisha, his voice carried, deep and commanding, daughter of this village, keeper of my heart. You called me, and I came. Before your people and mine, I claim you as my wife. The bridal delegation surged forward. Servants spread bolts of cloth across the ground, silk, velvet, damask, beads and bracelets that caught the sun like liquid fire. The smell of roasted meats and honeyed breads filled the air as feast after feast was laid at her father's feet. The crowd roared with awe. Some clapped, others wept, some whispered that the spirits themselves had favored her. Her mother covered her face, torn between fear and joy. Her father stared, speechless, as the wealth of kingdoms poured into his courtyard. And Aisha, radiant, trembling, triumphant, stepped forward. The madness they mocked, the shame they threw upon her, had transformed into glory. Kojo had come, with a kingdom at his back. The villagers would never again doubt her. The drums did not stop for 3 days. The village, once full of whispers and ridicule, was transformed into a place of feasting and awe. Baskets of food arrived with each dawn, roasted meats, pyramids of yams, honey dripping from combs, gourds of palm wine foaming with sweetness. Bright fabrics fluttered on every roof. Children ran wild with jeweled beads in their hair. And even the elders who had once called Aisha cursed now sat at the feast, chewing meat with grease shining on their fingers. On the third day, Kojo returned. This time, not borne aloft on a palanquin, but walking hand in hand with Aisha. His crown gleamed, his robes shone, yet beside him, Aisha's beauty eclipsed it all. She wore the cloak he had given her, its shimmering folds catching the sunlight, and on her finger the jewel burned like green fire. The people gathered in the square. Her father stood stiffly at the edge, pride battling shame, while her mother wept openly, half in relief, half in fear. Kojo raised his voice, deep and resonant. Before heaven and earth, before spirits and men, I take Aisha as my wife. She called for me across rivers and worlds, and I heard her. What is bound by love cannot be broken, not by fear, not by distance, not by the smallness of doubt. I have crossed kingdoms to find her, and I will cross 1,000 more if I must. The crowd fell silent, held in the power of his words. Then he turned to Aisha, his eyes softening. From the moment I dreamed of you, I knew. You were not just desire, not just beauty. You were my other half. And no wall of tradition, no barrier of land or family could keep me from your side. You are my wife, my queen, my fire. The air vibrated as though the ancestors themselves bore witness. A cheer rose, rolling like thunder. Women ululated, men pounded drums, and the children danced in circles until their feet kicked dust into golden clouds. Aisha felt her heart blaze in her chest. This was her choice, her defiance, her truth made flesh. All the laughter, all the scorn, all the nights in the lonely hut had led here, to this. She lifted her chin, her voice ringing out clear and proud. I am his, and I am his. Kojo, prince of the river kingdom, is mine, and I am his wife. The crowd erupted. When the last drumbeat faded and the final calabash of palm wine was emptied, Kojo rose and lifted Aisha's hand. His warriors formed a circle. His servants gathered treasures, and the bridal procession turned toward the river. Aisha looked back only once, at her mother weeping softly, at her father standing stiff and proud, at the villagers who had once mocked her and now bowed in awe. She smiled, her cloak trailing behind her like flame on water. Hand in hand with the prince, she stepped onto the golden palanquin. The drums resumed, slow and deep, as the procession carried them to the river's edge. There, before the wide shining water, Kojo's people unfurled sails of silk, and a royal barge, gilded and magnificent, rose from the mist. The villagers gasped as Aisha and Kojo boarded, the river itself parting to make way. With a final cry of joy, the barge glided across the water, disappearing into the horizon. From that day, no one in the village saw her again. Yet, they never forgot her. Mothers whispered her name to their daughters. Fathers told the tale by firelight. Children pointed to the river and said, that is where the prince came for Aisha. And so her story became legend. The girl who refused every suitor, who dared to dream of a love beyond her world, and who was carried away by a prince from the river kingdom. The elders summed it up in one truth. True love cannot be stopped. It will cross every river, break every chain, and defy every doubt until it finds the heart it was meant for.